Hey guys, my name is Precious Stevens of the Posh Academy, and I teach creatives such as yourself how to create amazing backdrops like you see behind me and attract higher paying clients so they can make more money doing exactly what they love. I teach hands-on and online classes, so if you are interested in either one, you would find the information in the description box on our next location, because not only do I teach hands-on, but guess what? We actually go on tour. As of right now, as of today, I don't know when you're seeing this video, but we have 15 cities scheduled before February. So check it out to see if one of the cities is yours. However, let's just say it's not. Let's just say you're located somewhere far, far in Never Land. If that's the case, then just hop on over to our online program. You'll find the description of that program as well in the description box below. I hope to see you guys on the inside. Stay tuned for this video. Okay, so once you put up your base layer, you want to measure things out and make sure all of your panels are evenly dispersed. And if you watch any of my other videos, you should know exactly how to measure out your base layer. Okay, so oftentimes I get asked, Precious, how do you hang up a frame properly? Or how do you hang up attachments and things like that? So in today's design, we're actually going to be hanging up one of those vintage frames. So what I want you to understand is the difference between hooks and when you would use the proper one. So if you're going to be hanging up something that's flat, that's going to be on your base layer or maybe your outer layer or something like that, it's really important knowing which hook to use and when. The two hooks that you're going to be deciding between is a C hook and an S hook. Now you would use a C hook if you are trying to go between fabric or in back of fabric. You would never place a C hook such as this in front of your fabric. For one, it's going to push your fabric back, and then for two, it's going to be noticeable. I always use a C hook generally because I always design with valances, meaning you can't see it either way. And the C hooks, they're a lot more durable, they're a lot more sturdy, and they hold a little more weight. But let's just say you want to put something here and you don't have another layer. If this is all you have, you want to use an S hook, because at that point, you pretty much want to be able to have your hook go out instead of in, because if your hook go inward, then it's going to push your fabric back. The purpose of your hook going outward is so it could catch your embellishment and not really mess up the design on your fabric. So they pretty much is the two different hooks you would use and when you would use them. So a reminder, you would use a C hook if you're going behind the fabric, meaning you're hanging it on the crossbar and you're going behind the fabric. You'll use an S hook if you're going in front of the fabric and need to hang an embellishment from in front of your fabric. Now, I also recommend, like I said earlier, go with C hook as much as you can, because they're more sturdy, they're more durable, and it just it holds more weight. But I do understand some designs you can't use a C hook, especially if you're using a flat panel, which is, let's just say you have a sequin panel that's super wide, that's 118 inches wide. You definitely can't use a C hook with that kind of fabric. In that case, you would use an S hook. So understand the difference and know which hook to use next time you hang up a frame with some kind of embellishment. So for the sake of our design, we're going to be using C hooks. So what you want to do is you want to attach it backward onto your fabric, onto your crossbar rather, so you can take your fabric and cover it up. That way no one sees it. But when you're hanging embellishments, one of the key points is making sure you're directly in the middle of your design. If you don't measure, if you're not good with measuring, if you're not good with eyeing it, get a measuring tape. So when you're hanging up your C hook, you want to make sure that you are in the middle. Hang your hook onto your crossbar, and then next thing you're going to do is take your frame or whatever embellishment that you choose to use, and now I'm going to use some fishing wire. I know it's really thin, you probably can't see it, but trust me, it's there. So you're going to get some fishing wire, right? And you're just going to put it through as much as you can get to the middle as possible. That way it's able to hang this way. And as far as measuring how low your frame should go, it depends on the length of your backdrop. So if your backdrop is about 12 feet tall, your frame should hang at about 7 to 9 feet. You kind of want to be centered in the middle of your backdrop, in between your two swags wherever they open up. You shouldn't necessarily be placing a swag in an odd place where it's kind of like displaced and it's not even. So if you're going in the middle, you definitely want to make sure that you are going right. Your two swags should be like right cascading between the two swags. That's where your frame should lie, right? Now you definitely don't want it to be too low where it's just, it's just distracting more than anything. You want to try and keep it in the center and keep people's eyes focused on the center. So since we're doing a pretty tall backdrop today, we're going to hang it pretty low. So before you even raise your design, that's when you want to attach your frame. Otherwise, you're going to raise your design, then you're going to try and attach it. But guess what? You're going to need a step stool. You're going to need a ladder. You may need a lift. You're going to need something because you're not going to be able to reach it. So anything that you're attaching to your backdrop, when it's at its lowest level, you want to attach it in that state. Now we're going to just let that rest, and we're going to attach our second crossbar. So now I attach my second layer. Next thing I have to do is make sure all of my panels are evenly dispersed. Because I'm using such contrasting colors, it's so important that each color is the appropriate size and measurement. Not to mention, I also want to kind of talk to you guys about the different blends I've been using, right? Now, you guys hear me kind of talk bad about poly blend a lot when it comes to draping. And it's not necessarily that it's bad fabric. It's just for the type of draping that I normally do, it's not suitable for what I do. However, for this design, since this is not something that's like a wedding or a shower, so it doesn't really have that romantic feel, then I would use poly. If I was to put a white sheer in between here, it would really make the backdrop just a little more like whimsical, a little more feminine, a little more intimate, right? However, when you use a poly, the whole purpose for the poly is to make the color pop and make it look strong and give you that kind of just that kind of feel. So since this is really representing college sorority, strong women, right? We want to make sure that colors pop. We don't want it too super watered down, too girly, because those ladies over there rock. So that's when I would use a poly. And any other time that you're designing backdrops and you want just a strong pop of color, that's when you would use poly. The only downside is for newbies, you would need to know how to implement the pleats into this fabric, because this is not maintenance-free fabric. This isn't the easy peasy fabric I talk about all the time. This, you actually have to make it do what you want it to do. The stretch which is what the pink and the green is, that just does what the fabric is just so loose and it does whatever. It's very easy to manipulate, and it just really complies to whatever you wanted to do. However, you will see me kind of not struggle, because I know how to make it do what I needed to do. But it does take a little more technique when you're really designing with more stiff fabrics such as this. So now I'm going to make sure my design, or make sure my panels rather, are evenly dispersed. Make sure all of my colors are nice and neat. And then we're going to attach our next layer. Stay tuned. So now all of my panels are evenly dispersed. Everything is measuring up, looking great. So now I'm about to attach my third layer, which is going to be my valance. pole covers, or valance rather, I use one very, very long, normally about 30 to 40 feet piece of fabric, and that way it can act as my valance and my pole covers. However, I've extended my backdrop out to 8 feet, so my pole cover is going to come a bit short, so I'm going to actually add more fabric just to ensure that they are covered up. All right, guys, now everything is ready to rock and roll. Next thing we do is we're going to lift. Okay, so now once you pretty much got everything up, you kind of just attached your swags to the pole. Now is when you want to kind of go back, look at it, take a step back, and perfect any kind of imperfections that you may see. So oftentimes I get asked, Precious, how do you get your puddles so neat? Or Precious, how do you properly puddle? Or why do my poofies look so big? I'm going to let you in on a secret on how you could get polished backdrops just by simply, for one, caring, and for two, puddling your bottom. If those of you that's in the Posh Tribe know that that's one of my biggest pet peeves, and know that's something I kind of zero in on and look for first, other than placement and measurement, right? So dig into this tip here. So one of the common newbie mistakes, right, is not that it's bad, it's just that, you know, newbies really don't know. So a lot of you guys will just tend to, you know, create your design, and it just, you know, it's just kind of like that. And one thing I want to tell you is that this is one of the biggest things that can deter you from professionalism. When people normally see this, it's like, yeah, the backdrop cute, but it's not polished. So in order for you guys to achieve that polished look, what you want to do is pay attention to, for one, your colors, right? However your colors are in order up top, you want them to be in the same exact order at the bottom. And you want them to just filter through. If you have pleats at the top, then guess what? You ultimately should have pleats at the bottom as well. And then what you want to do is just pretty much pick your fabric up, right? If you are familiar with old day, like Easter time, when you used to have to actually be a lady and pick your dress up and go up the steps or things like that, same technique. Just pick it up, right? You want to pick it up and let it drop naturally wherever it is. And then tuck it. And the goal here is to cover up your base. Some bases are black, some are silver, but guess what? Your client and their guests shouldn't know what color it is, because you should be covering it up. So then you just come and get your last one. Do the same exact thing. Put your access in the back. Only thing you want to do, you don't need a big old poofy mess. You just want to make sure everything is kind of lined up, looking neat. Now, I wouldn't have too much white showing, simply because, one, it's poly fabric. I don't like how poly fabric is really stiff. It doesn't give you a fluid look. So I'm just going to have a little bit, just like I got a little bit up top. And I want my green and my pink, since they are the primary colors for the AKAs, I want that to come through. So once you polish up your bottom, next thing you want to do is just simply add your tie back. And since I know this sorority loves bling, right, I'm going to use the bling wrap, right? And we're just going to sit here and make sure you want to cover up any kind of whatever you guys are using, whether it's zip ties, pipe cleaners, whatever it is. You need none of them to show. Okay, now once you attach your tie back, right, now you want to just make sure that you are covering or providing like a cape with your pole cover, right? That's the whole purpose that is going to serve on the end of your backdrop. 1, to cover up your hardware, and 2, to act as a cape. So you just definitely want to make sure you're covering all of your hardware. Okay guys, so once you polish your bottoms and you attach your tie backs and you make sure everything is polished, all your pleats and everything like that, guess what? Voila, you are completely done with your design. And at that point, you should just kind of be in love. So if this idea actually came from the community, so guess what? If you have any ideas, anything that you would like to see me add to the YouTube channel, put it down below in the comments so I can get it onto the schedule. Also, if you found this video to be helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because otherwise you won't know when I'm putting up a new video. And if you are new to pipe and drape and would like to learn my techniques, guess what? I have a membership program that teaches you online all the tricks in the trade of pipe and drape and how you can drape just like a pro so you can attract higher paying clients, so you can make more money doing exactly what you love. If that sounds interesting to you, click that link down below in the description and enroll into the program.